mission statement, the Douglas Public Schools offer a diverse learning experience that meet the academic, social, physical, and emotional needs of all of our students. We provide a safe, supportive, and challenging learning environment in which students may achieve academic success and personal growth. Decisions are made in the best interest of our students. We're going to forego doing the Pledge of Allegiance and go to the student representatives. We have Madison LaHouse and Tia Olette. If you could please turn on your camera and introduce yourselves. And
Hi, I'm Madison LaHouse.
Hi, Madison.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Wonderful.
Oh, is Tia here? I don't know if I see Tia.
Yeah, no.
I don't see.
Madison, are you all? Do you have everything you need?
Yeah.
All right, you're on.
Hello. I am here to share some of the exciting things going on in middle school. First, let's start with our newest additions, the sixth graders. The sixth grade students are doing a great job getting used to being middle schoolers, learning how to navigate the school, open their lockers, and keep their notebooks organized. Upstairs in the seventh grade, the students are doing great adjusting to the new year. They are especially reporting that they are enjoying their time in science class, where they have been learning proper procedures from science labs with a series of engaging experiments. This year in eighth grade, we are off to a great start. As the leaders of the school, we are learning how to be good citizens and participate in the community of Douglas. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Madison. Is Tia Olette online?
I do not see her.
Well, if it's okay, I say that we continue
She
on.
just came in.
Oh, she just came in. Good. Thank you so much. Tia? I see that she came in, but she doesn't have her.
She's connecting to audio right now, it
Yeah,
says.
yeah.
There she is.
Hi, Tia.
Hi,
How are you, hon?
good. How are you?
Good. We're at the student representative and we're ready for you to bring forth your report to us, please.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tia Willette, and I am a candidate for 8th grade officers. Tomorrow morning, my fellow candidates and I will be participating in an election to choose representatives for the class of 2028. If elected, we will be responsible for planning and organizing many events throughout the year to make sure that our 8th grade year is the best. The election for 8th grade class officers is not the only election during this week at the middle school. Today, elections took place during homeroom to select representatives from each grade to be on the Douglas Middle School Student Council. The results of this election will be announced at school on Friday. The selected members of the Student Council will be responsible for planning school-wide events, spreading school spirit, and completing community service. I would like to share some of the exciting things going on in the middle school now. First, let's start with our newest additions, the sixth graders. The sixth grade students are doing a great job getting used to being middle schoolers, learning how to navigate the school, open their lockers, and keep their notebooks organized. Upstairs in the seventh grade, students are doing great adjusting to the new year. They are especially reporting that they are enjoying their time in science class when they have been learning proper procedures for science labs with a series of engaging experiences. This year in eighth grade, we are off to a great start. As the new leaders of the school, we are learning how to be good citizens and participate in the community of Douglas. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Tia, for coming. And for Madison for coming forth to us. Moving on to public comments. Is anybody here for public comment?
They're not working.
Teresa, you have a hot mic just for your awareness. Are you seeing anybody, Dr. Vera, for public comment?
I am not, and nothing in the chat.
Seeing that there is none, we're moving on to any old business that we need to discuss.
There is no old business.
Moving on to new business and to the
All right.
superintendent's report, please.
All right, welcome everyone. Great to see so many people on here. We're going to see how we can manage these introductions via Zoom. We're going to go back to our 2020, 2021 skill set that we learned and hopefully did not forget. So one thing that we started doing 3-4 years ago was introducing our new staff to the school
Do we have a
community
speaker anywhere?
and to the community. So obviously it'd be great to do this live and in person, but the circumstances of our meeting today.
Speaker?
This is Mr. Villamere, there we go. Necessitated that we do it via Zoom. So we're going to try this via Zoom. I think we can do it. We will start with Miss Keegan and then go to Mr. Rosenthal, Dr. Rosenthal, and then the principals.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vieira. I would like to introduce Allison Weir. She's our new food service director. She came to Douglas Public Schools in June. Allison has 2 associate degrees from Sullivan College in Louisville, Kentucky. One was in culinary arts and one in baking and pastry. She was a chef for a long period of time. Then she went into nutrition services in hospitals and nursing homes. And she has been in school food service for the last 13 years. 8 years were in Pennsylvania prior to coming to Douglas Public Schools. So very happy to have Allison here with us, and she certainly hit the ground running when she came here in June. She got to spend a little bit of time with the previous food service director, which was good, and to get acclimated, and she hit the ground running. So we welcome Allison Weir to Douglas Public Schools.
Hi, Allison. All right. Good job, Miss Keegan, setting the pace and the tone for everyone on this Zoom introduction. The bar is high. Dr. Rosenthal.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Vera. Yes, I'll try to keep up with Ms. Keegan and her pacing. I first would like to introduce Jennifer Ramsdell. She is not technically new. You would have been able to have met her last year at the elementary and primary school level, where she was our coordinator. This year, she is graciously volunteered to take on a new role as the middle and high school coordinator. Jennifer has come to Douglas with significant experience. She has been a team chair and student service administrator in Holliston, as well as a pre-K coordinator. She's been a team chairperson in Mendon Upton and in Franklin Public Schools and in Auburn. She has also been a director of pupil personnel and pupil services in Uxbridge. She has an educational background from Simmons College, where she has a master's in science and education, and Gordon College, where she has a bachelor's of art in social work and sociology. So I want to welcome Jennifer. She has been amazing to work with since the start, and it just speaks to how much she was volunteering to help out the district and support us with moving to the middle school and high school coordinator. So just want to welcome Ms. Ramsdell. Unfortunately, our elementary and primary school coordinator was unable to make it tonight. She had plans to be here, but unfortunately she was not able to come. Her name is Chelsea Cardinal. Chelsea comes with us. Not as much experience as Ms. Ramsdell, but her experience is extensive at the elementary school level as a teacher, where she's coming from Abby Kelly Charter School in Worcester. She has been an ELL teacher in Grafton. Also in Grafton, she was a grade 1 teacher and a preschool teacher as well. So she has a lot of elementary school experience, which is great for her coordinator position with us. She has an educational experience. She has a master's from Lesley University in early childhood education and a bachelor's degree from Excelsior College in social services. She's been hitting the ground running, hitting the fast-paced world of special education without batting an eye. We do have Susan Donnellan helping to mentor her in the position as she is a new special education administrator. But it's been wonderful the last couple of weeks, and we have already seen great growth in her, where she is starting to fade into running some of the meetings herself. So I do want to welcome her. She's not here right now, but she's been excellent thus far.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Rosenthal. Ms. Sosha.
So I am so excited to introduce our new staff tonight. We have Riley Hogan. Give us a big wave, Riley, so everyone knows who you are. Riley is our special education teacher. She actually started in May. It was May 1st of last year, but we consider her still to be our new special ed teacher. She resides in Sutton. She's a graduate of Westfield State University with a bachelor's degree in early childhood education and a master's degree from Liberty University in Virginia in special education with moderate disabilities. And prior to coming to Douglas, she was employed for 7 years at the Learning Clinic in Brooklyn, Connecticut as a special education teacher. And she's been doing an amazing job, even though, you know, the year is young, but she's got everything under control, and I have full faith in her. So welcome, Riley.
Thank you.
Next, you're welcome. Next, we have Colleen Lamprey. Colleen, put your camera on so we can see you and give us a wave. There she is. Okay. She is our primary school flex room teacher. She resides in Cherry Valley, and she is a recent graduate, 2023, from Fitchburg State University with a bachelor's degree in special education with severe disabilities. And she's already up and running, and the room is beautiful. She spent a lot of time planning this summer of what was going to happen in that room. And we're very fortunate to have Colleen. So welcome, Colleen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next few I don't think are here. So next up, I have Cassidy Dunleavy, and Cassidy is a Douglas girl. She came through our school system. She resides in Douglas. She is a kindergarten paraprofessional for us and a 2023 graduate of Westfield State University with a bachelor's degree in elementary education. So we're happy to have Cassidy in that role. We have Courtney Doyle, who is our kindergarten and grade 1 remediation para. And she served as a long-term sub for us last year in kindergarten and did a fabulous job. So we offered her to come back. She's a graduate of Westfield State University with a bachelor's degree in early childhood education and liberal arts. And next we have Brittany Crowley, and she is in the kindergarten paraprofessional role. She resides in Douglas. She was employed in the cafeteria for some time in Douglas, and she has 3 children in the district. Doing a great job. She just started with us and has fit right in. Cheryl Ciccone is an ABA in our preschool classroom. She resides in Douglas. She's a graduate of Framingham State University with a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. And prior to coming to Douglas, she worked as a registered behavioral technician in Uxbridge. So welcome, Cheryl. It seems like these people have been with us all along because everything's been going so smoothly. And finally, I have Megan Pryor in a kindergarten paraprofessional role, and she is a Douglas resident. And prior to coming here, she worked at a private daycare. So they're all doing fabulous. I have a wonderful staff. I have faith in all of them to do a great job this year and wonderful things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sosha. Mr. Tafonzo.
Thank you, Dr. Vieira. Thank you to the school committee for having us. So I want to definitely give a big DPS welcome and school committee welcome to all our new employees, all our new staff. And I'd like to start with, we have a few folks here who are able to attend. I'd like to call out Jackie Bissett. Jackie, can you wave? So Jackie is our grade 3 remediation paraprofessional. She was a product of the Northbridge High School, the Northbridge School System, Northbridge High, attended University of Phoenix, graduated 2011, with an associate in early education, has ABA training through the University of Phoenix. Before working at Douglas, she worked in Northbridge for over 10 years as a one-to-one kindergarten paraprofessional. During a transitional period, he ran a sub-separate classroom and was a behavior tech for pre-K to 2. She is most excited to learn the Title I program and work with older students. So she's in work with Mrs. Cordani and Mrs. Tadell. Mrs. Cordani's here with us tonight. Hi, Laura. She said the most positive part, and this is really a testament to our staff, the most positive part of working in Douglas is the positive working environment that she has found, learning a great deal from the staff, Title I, Ms. Cordani and Ms. Tadell, and said that the community of teachers is great at the elementary school. She said they've been very welcoming and willing to help her learn the routine. So we welcome Jackie Bissett. All right. Also in attendance here, we have Meg Daniels. Big wave, Meg. I didn't tell Meg this, but she has to give a speech. So Meg did join us last year, partway through the year as a paraprofessional. So while being a paraprofessional, while working, while having a daughter at the elementary school, Meg managed to graduate from Bay Path University, May 2023, summa cum laude. Thank you very much. And she's been working in the educational field for several years. She's mom to 2 beautiful children, one of which I have had the pleasure to get to know, Miss Nettie. And she said her and her husband have been married for 14 years. She is passionate about teaching, especially to those who struggle academically. Meg is a SPED teacher, and she works and runs our academic center. And we had to basically clear out an existing room, and Meg started from scratch and turned the room into just a beautiful environment, very welcoming. And it's like she's been there for years. So she's just has hit the ground running, and it's just been a really great fit. So we're very happy to have her. So thank you, Miss Daniels. We have 3 other new staff. 4 actually new staff who were unable to come. Jill Nason joined us as an ABA. She has a bachelor's from the University of Hartford, used to be a former substance abuse counselor and case manager for Spectrum Health. She also works as a massage therapist, and she has a current 7th grader at the middle school. So we welcome Jill. Miss Karen Ferris joined us as a one-to-one paraprofessional, and she also works on van monitoring. She went through the Marlboro Public School System, sub last year at our school and the middle school, and she previously worked in before school programs in the Mendon Upland District. So welcome to Karen. 2 more. Miss Dana Klatt joined us as a Title I paraprofessional. She earned her bachelor's from Rhode Island College in early childhood ed, master's from Western Connecticut State in curriculums and education. She taught for 17 years in New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. Last 2 years, she took time out of education and worked at her church as a guest experience director. She said she's most excited about being able to work with students again. Getting back into the field was very exciting for her. She said so far the staff and administration have been most welcoming. I did not tell her to say that. And she likes being part of such a positive environment, she said. So that was really great. And along with Mrs. Cordani as well, she and Mrs. Tadell, she's really jumped right in and hasn't missed a beat. And last but not least, we have Amanda Todd. Amanda joined us as our grade 4 special ed inclusion teacher. She has a bachelor's in health, wellness, and occupational studies. She's currently working towards a post-baccalaureate in moderate disabilities, for which she's licensed in. Prior to Douglas, she worked in Westboro for 3 years and NEC. She said she's most excited about the new opportunity as a SPED teacher to learn from an amazing 4th grade team, which just a phenomenal group of educators that she was very fortunate to join. She said what she's like best so far is getting to know all their kids and their interests, and that's evident when you see her in the classroom. And she said she's really excited to work in Douglas. She's had such a great start to the year, and said everyone's been so kind and welcoming, which is indicative of our staff. So welcome to Amanda. Thank you, guys. That's everyone.
Thank you, Anthony. Mr. O'Brien.
Good evening, Dr. Vieira. Thank you. I'll first introduce two folks that were able to join us tonight, both from the 7th grade team. Leah Langlos, if you could be Leah, give us a little wave, and Samantha Copeland. Leah joined us in June of last year as a math teacher in the 7th grade. It's always a good sign when you call for a reference check and the principal says, no, you can't take her. So thank you very much, Leah. And with Samantha, she comes to us with a wealth of experience, mostly it's pretty peculiar outdoor teaching. It blended into real learning in Maine and in Vermont. She resides in Douglas now, and we're absolutely thrilled. And they blended so well with the 7th grade team seamlessly that I'm very excited about the direction that that entire grade and the entire school will take. I've heard many positive feedback from the students that are in their classes as well. Had the joy of observing them yesterday, and I was absolutely floored by their capabilities as classroom teachers. So welcome, Leah and Samantha. Thank you so much. Not able to join us tonight.
Very excited to be here.
Oh, thanks, Leah. Sam, anything?
I'll just repeat what Leah just said.
Very smart. Two special education teachers are not able to be here tonight. Jill Carroll, who is Flex special education teacher, wealth of experience, and Brooke Poulin will be our severe special education sub-separate teacher. So looking forward to an exciting year, and thank you both for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. And last but certainly not least, the high school, Mr. Ringett.
Thank you, Dr. Vieira. So I'm going to introduce those that are here. I'm going to start with Melissa Whitkiss. Melissa Whitkiss has been with the district for quite a while now as a substitute, as a paraprofessional, as an ABA therapist, and now she is leading our STARS program in severe special needs. She is working on her master's in that field, and I think we expect her to be done around December-ish, maybe January-ish. And she has made that a very seamless transition for our students of very high needs. And I'm very appreciative of her efforts in that classroom. Second, we have Valeria Roberts. She is our new world language teacher in the Spanish language. She is a native speaker. She came to us, thank you, Bartlett, for sending her our way. She's doing a great job with her Spanish 1, Spanish 2 kids and getting them to actually be able to speak and hear and listen. It was great observing her class about a week ago, just to kind of see her kind of push these kids into learning. Even if they didn't want to, she was doing a great job making them get involved and actually enjoy the class. I really enjoyed that. Then we have Miss Kirsten Benincasa. She comes to us from Plymouth State. She is an avid tennis player, I will say that. She is currently teaching geometry and algebra 2 this year. She's done a great job with our kids so far. She's as new as can be and has hit the ground running and I have great confidence in her abilities as a teacher and a classroom manager. She's done a fantastic job up to this point. And I told her that myself earlier today. So I figured I'd repeat it here for school committee as well. We also have Demiana Tekla. She is one of our ABA specialists, and her video is not on, but that's okay. She's on the call right now. So she's one of our ABA specialists. She is from Egypt. She is doing a great job as a one-to-one right now and is helping out immensely with some of our special needs students. And lastly, someone who is not here, who I'm adding today because she just started today, is Miss Jordan Perry. She is not on the call right now, and she is helping out in the STARS program as well. She is a brand new hire. She has enjoyed her first day. I will say that. She didn't have a blurb ready for me, but that's okay. But she is she's excited to be working with us. She is happy to be in the program that she's working with. And I'm excited to have all these people with me because I can't think of any better group to be with, to be honest. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ringet. Again, thank you to all the staff for coming out tonight. I know it's late.
Thank you.
7:30. Thank you so much for coming out. I've had the opportunity to be in many of your classrooms and to speak with many of you personally, and they're a great addition to the Douglas family and community, and we look forward to years of them being with us. Like I said this earlier, the future is bright and they're a big part of it along with our current staff. And it's interesting, I'm looking at Melissa saying the future is bright. Melissa, how many years have you been with us?
If you include my year as a substitute, this will be my 10th year.
10th year. So it's she's been with us for a long time, but first time in this role. So welcome to everyone. You're more
I'd just like to, and sorry, Dr. Vieira.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just from the school committee, I just want to welcome all of our new staff and let you all know that we are so happy that you're here and just give you a big welcome. So thank you.
Have a thumbs up.
That's
Awesome.
it.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you so much.
This too. We really appreciate putting a face to the names. It's really wonderful.
Awesome. You're more than welcome to hang out with us for the next hour. However, I'm sure you have papers to grade, lessons to plan, and things to do. So if you want to log off, we absolutely understand, but feel free to hang out with us for the next hour. Have a good night, everyone. With that said, transition to something that's not on the agenda. Last time we met as a committee, the principals presented their goals, as did Mr. Rosenthal, Dr. Rosenthal, and we also gave a quick update to the start of the year. Mr. DeFonso was not able to be with us, although his goals are almost identical to Cindy and Bob's. I just want to give him 30 seconds to quickly go over his goals, see if the committee has any questions, and give a quick overview on what 2 weeks ago would have been the first week of the school year. Now we're the first 3 weeks of the school year. So Mr. DeFonso.
Okay, so as Dr. Vieira mentioned, goal is very similar. Our data goal is by the end of the year, 100% of students in grades 2 to 5 will be at or above grade level on their STAR Math and STAR Reading assessment. So obviously an ambitious goal and one that we will strive for every day to achieve. My second goal is related to Universal Design for Learning, UDL. Throughout the year, we will be working on developing professional development opportunities relative to UDL strategies in our classroom, which will also be part of our classroom walkthrough write-ups and observations. And the third and final goal is relative to social emotional learning, focused around morning meeting and developing lessons, activities, and structures and curriculum gathering for our staff to implement on a daily basis during the morning meeting blocks. And those are the 3 goals. And start of school year, we had a really good start, really positive start to the school year. Our second graders assimilated very well. Our open house was extremely well attended, which is a testament to the support in the community of our Douglas families. That was really great to see. We did change things up, the format a little bit this year. Dr. Vieira opened up by addressing everyone in the auditorium, which I thought was a really nice way to kind of set the tone for the night, kind of gather everybody, set the tone, answer questions, and then they dispersed to the classrooms. And the attendance was phenomenal. I think maybe a couple of parents here and there in a classroom were not in attendance, but otherwise extremely well attended. So that was awesome. Obviously the 5 new staff members, and we had very positive PD days to start. And well, like I said, we hit the ground running and it's been a very positive start. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeFonso. Any questions for Anthony? All right. As you heard last week, and again today from Anthony, one of the goals is our SEL morning meeting, and it's making certain that we start the day off with the right tone. building that sense of community, giving kids the soft skills they need to be successful. One thing that I asked the principals to do was to come here tonight and give a brief overview of what that program looks like. Looks different in each of the 4 buildings. The length of times vary. The content varies, when it happens varies. But I just wanted the committee and the community. We've talked a lot. I've talked a lot the past year or two about this morning meeting, about this SEL block. And I don't think we've ever presented what it really looks like. So tonight, Scott has a PowerPoint he's going to put up. And if Cindy's cat cooperates, we will get started shortly on having the principals just walk you through what the morning meeting looks like. We're going to try this again via Zoom and see how it works with a slide deck and 4 people presenting. But Scott, as soon as you can get that up and running, we will start. This is much better than seeing my face that large. Courtney, please don't laugh on the big screen. All right, so first slide, again, is just an introduction to our social emotional learning. Next slide, Scott, please. Next slide, thanking Anthony for pulling this up, but why SEL belongs in school. And a lot of times people talk about SEL as something being added to the plate, but you need to think about SEL as being the plate. If kids aren't in a good place mentally, emotionally, to be in school, they're not in a good place to learn. So, as you can see from this chart, it does so many things for our kids. It improves academic achievement, builds strong decision makers, teaches academic skills, builds confident learners. There's so much that goes into SEL and this morning block. Next slide. All right, starting with Miss Socia and working our way down. Can you talk a little bit about when it happens in your schools?
Sure. So at the primary school, it doesn't matter which room you're in, whether it's preschool, kindergarten, or first, somewhere in that 8:30 to 8:50, everyone is doing slides prepared. They're pretty much the same per grade because they prepare them together, and they're doing morning meeting, and it really sets the tone for the day. The kids are able to talk to each other. They're able to, share with each other if it was the weekend. So it's happening every single day. And this is where we're going to be able to incorporate our theme for the month, which is friendship this month.
Anthony.
So we have our time frame of 8:20 to 8:50 where teachers will run their morning meeting for approximately 20 minutes. And we try to give some flexibility in that time frame. If kids are coming in late off the bus, getting breakfast, so the teachers have some flexibility, but they do it for roughly 20 minutes a day. I've been able to attend several across different grade levels. The kids seem to really enjoy it. And it's a really nice, positive way to start the day. And we put together a kind of a DES morning meeting guide, so to speak. And our character trait of this month is respect. So that's been the theme that teachers have been covering in the classroom. And in conjunction with our school adjustment counselor, she is integrating respect as part of her classroom lessons. So they're seeing it in multiple ways and opportunities throughout the month. So next month is responsibility, and then we have a different character trait each month.
Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you. At the middle school, each morning, we have about 15 minutes of SEL/morning meeting time. The first and third Monday of each month, we extend that to 8 o'clock in the morning to specifically hit on the SEL lessons. And that is done by homeroom blocks, which is a smaller group than normally in the classroom. And that way, if there's any lesson that needs more attention to, it is spread out throughout the next 2 weeks before the next specific SEL training or teaching to the students. In addition to that, school psychologist Jessica Hurley will be doing some specific training with some of her students at that time as well. We partnered with the high school last year. We worked with the high school guidance department to have the same curriculum, 6 through 12, varied for grade level. and that will go into effect. Although the teachers all started their year with SEL the first 2 weeks as the middle school model. But after our faculty meeting during PD day, that's when we'll roll this schedule out. And the other classes throughout the day will be shortened by a few minutes each block. Each grade is significantly different, the needs for 6th grade as opposed to 8th grade. So having this time and a little bit of flexibility in with their schedule was agreeable to everyone on the staff.
Thank you. Mr. Ringett.
At the high school, just continuing on what Mr. O'Brien was saying, there is a curriculum in place during our advisory block. We hold advisory, I would say roughly 4 times per month. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we actually hold either an advisory or an intervention block. So if you figure there are about 8 Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout any given month, half of those days are dedicated to advisory. And the SEL practices within the program that Mr. O'Brien mentioned. Ours are mapped out. I have to give credit to Mrs. Ryan, one of our counselors. She's really set this thing up and scheduled it very nicely for the staff, and made it very user-friendly for them. So it makes it so everybody can access this without jumping through a whole lot of hoops. So a lot of credit goes to her for setting that up.
All right, thank you. Next, the structure. At the very end, you'll actually see a lesson, but what I wanted is for them to go over, what does the structure of these 20 minutes look like? And it's important for, especially in the younger grades, that routine of consistency for kids. So Cindy, you want to talk a little bit about the structure?
Sure. So our structure actually came from, we had during COVID, we had a lot of professional development, and it came from one of our presenters in professional development, Erin Moore. So that's how we incorporated this. And it was back in those days when we were doing the Zoom. So it starts with a greeting, and it could be just a hi. Right now, kindergarten, you're going to see the sample where they don't know each other's names yet. So they're learning each other's names. Can you say hello to your friend next to you? Sometimes they say hello like a butterfly. Sometimes they say hello like an alligator with their hands. So it always starts with a greeting. This way the kids get to know each other. Then we start with a skill in there, and that could be the friendship that we talked about. And then they start a discussion. They might do a little activity. So most of the teachers will start out like with the kids standing up around the whole perimeter of the room. Then they'll bring them into the carpet to sit down and do maybe the calendar, and they talk about the weather, and they might do some phonics. And then they wrap it up and kind of discuss it one more time. So some of that you'll see today. Some of it hasn't been incorporated yet because it's still new, especially for our little ones.
Anthony.
We follow a very similar pattern based on our responsive classroom greeting to start the day. As an elementary setting, it's obviously very important for community building, and that's a great way to start the day. I was in a room last week, and when the kids all said hello to each other, they did it in Japanese. So it was pretty cool to hear that. The kids, it was just like they were excited to learn a new word, new language. Then we follow up with the sharing, some sort of a group share, followed up by an activity, and then ending with the morning message. And like I alluded to before, this month's theme has been respect. So that's what the morning meetings have been centered around primarily this month. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I didn't even have to say next slide. Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you. So again, twice per month, homeroom is sent until 8 a.m. Teachers are provided lessons for their homerooms. That comes from the group Ed Excellence. Again, that's 6 through 12. If you want to click on that, Mr. Bellamy, you're more than welcome to. And if anyone wants to look at that, there's also some free trials, although you do have to put in a credit card number for the free trial. So be careful with that. But it is a research-based curriculum that we will be using. There's plenty of lessons, and it could go on for a very long time with links, as you'll see, to videos, other slides. There's a lot to it. But again, that can be spread out through the morning meetings of the week. And if you just go back one slide, please, Scott. So again, those lessons are extended through morning meeting. And as we move through this slideshow, you'll get a sample of one of the, what a typical morning meeting lesson would look like, as well as the SEL lesson.
Thank you. Rob, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So at the high school, teachers have provided a very structured lesson plan to go over with their students. The teachers will open this up. Some of them contain videos, some of them contain in-class activities. The lessons in general are very interactive. And once the activity is done, it leads to open discussion, as depending on the activity depends on the discussion, of course. And actually I have one linked a couple of slides later that hopefully we'll get to take a peek at.
Thank you, Rob. All right, and then quickly I'll go ahead. Did someone say, Monique? Was that you?
Sorry, is it okay if I just ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
For the elementary and the primary, is there a curriculum resource for this that those schools are using?
We just put up
Yes.
right here, Cindy and Anthony.
Right. And so
sorry.
that's what we have right now is the primary is using a social thinking curriculum, which is by Michelle Garcia Winner. That curriculum for us, what came in years ago, we had a lot of training on that with Nancy Clements. I know some of the newest staff haven't had that, but we've shared it along the way. That's what my adjustment counselor will use for the curriculum. And that is, it's executive functioning direction, it's friendship and relationship development, it's self-regulation in the zones. Those are the things we talk about. We teach the children, tell us what zone you're in. Are you in the green zone today, or you're coming in and you're in the yellow zone, and things like that. So it seems to work. The kids understand it. We have a lot of the materials, the posters to hang up, the visuals for the children.
And just like what's happening at the elementary school, same thing with Miss Socha's. What's happening is in morning meeting, when the adjustment counselors come in and do classroom visits and classroom lessons, the curriculum that students are seeing in morning meeting and the themes are repeated inside the classrooms. I think Bob alluded to the fact that one thing they're trying to do is embed a lot of their morning meeting and SEL themes throughout the day. So this spirals throughout the day. So at the primary social thinking, Anthony, do you want to talk a little bit about Pathway to Success in Responsive Classroom?
So yeah, a lot of the teachers have had training on responsive classroom, and a lot of the materials we put together in the morning meeting guide I referenced earlier is responsive classroom based and taken from. And Pathway to Success is some from additional resources we've used for different activities, greeting ideas, and lessons.
Bob?
So again, the curriculum being used is through the Ed Excellence groups, and you're more than welcome to check that out for a little bit. Scott, you don't need to check on that now. Click on that now. We already did. But the biggest part, I think the difference between elementary and high school at the middle school is the students really want to be listened to at this stage as they develop as their brain develops and their personalities develop more and they turn into young adults. They want to be the ones driving the conversation. And that's been exactly taken into account for in both the morning meetings and the SEL process.
All right. What's your gap?
And at the high school, again, curriculum based, we're using the Ed Excellence program, which is grade based, which is an excellent way to do it. We also have a Rising Up program, which is really geared towards our freshman class that we include during some of the days that we might not do intervention or advisory because the upperclassmen are working on resumes or something like that, where our freshmen might work on this Rising Up program, which helps them become take on more of a leadership role within the school. And hopefully a lot of that sticks with them. So.
Right, the next slide, I think the last slide. So now the fun stuff. What does all this look like on a daily basis? What do these lessons look like? what's a sample. We're gonna start with a pretty cool one that Miss Sosha did. Cindy, you want to introduce that before Scott hits play?
Sure. So first I have to thank Scott for helping me do this one. It was beyond me, technology wise. I have to thank Mrs. Blatchford for agreeing to do this and with her class. So you will see excerpts from, it's not a 20-minute video, trust me. So we did excerpts so that you can see the different parts of morning meeting. And she's very animated and very excited. And that's just what the kids enjoy.
Scott, do we have sound?
You hear it?
No.
No.
Mr. Valmier, if you click optimize for sound under the audio, sometimes that helps the YouTube work better.
There we go. No,
Can you hear it?
no.
I'm sorry.
Scott, would it be easier if we went to Anthony while you tried to work on this behind the scenes?
I could try to go get it on my Google Drive. Hold on, let me just pause this for a second. That's a safe thing. See, I can hear it.
Cindy, do you want to quickly just? I don't want to put you on the spot. Can you walk us through what's going on?
So the first thing she's doing is the greeting, and they usually have a letter that they have each day or 2 letters. So the beep beep is for the letter B. Last week she had the letter T, and she started with, "Oh, I'm so tired." And so every child had to like yawn and say, "I'm tired," and say hello to their friend. So she's asking them next to say hello. And if you don't know someone's name, she'll say, ask them what their name is, and then they say hello to their friend. So they are scattered around the room right now.
It's a million times better with sound. I saw
It
it.
is. It is.
Scott, for the sake of time, do you want to just email this to me and I can email it out? Well, I think the school committee has a link to it, but just email me this slide deck, this video, and I'll email it out to people.
Yes, again, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Next is the elementary school, and everybody is unique. A lesson. A lesson in respect for others. You want to click on that?
So this is just what, so for our morning meeting guidebook for lack of a better word, we created basically a bank of different samples of the 4 different structures of morning meeting, different greetings, different shares, different activities, and different lessons that teachers can incorporate each month in general. But then we also started a bank for that respective character trait of the month. So I pulled up this particular lesson as an example of one of them that teachers can utilize. So obviously I'm not going to take you through the whole thing, but the gist of it is to where the students will create individual people all with different unique qualities. And it teaches them how to focus on the positive and respect the differences of everyone. They talk about the word unique, and then they actually create unique individuals who are different in every way, shape, or form. And so that's obviously a central tenet to the word respect. And like I said earlier, this is also reinforced through our school adjustment counselors classroom lessons. So thank you.
Anger management.
Thank you. This is just a sample anger management lesson for grade 6. Each grade has a different SEL curriculum that they follow. We had probably between 40 and 60 lessons that we pared down to about 24 to take us through the year. And I'd like to thank our guidance department for their hard work in getting this squared away. And all of these lessons are mapped out, including the morning meetings, for the remainder of the school year, which is nice because if you have a substitute teacher coming in, it's already all squared away for them to get started. And again, you can see all the different links of how many different activities they can, that the teachers and the students together can say, here's what I want to explore next. Well, this is my choice for next. And if it runs over the time, then they have morning meetings to follow it up as well as the SEL. Although we have it scheduled for the first and third Monday of the month, if we find out that it is not enough time, we can easily expand that time. I would like to get the students' feedback on this first before we roll anything else out for the remainder of the year. The majority of these lessons take about 30 minutes. Some, again, you could probably spend the entire day working on these lessons. And if you click on just one sec, the sample morning meeting slide for the middle school. Scott, if you could go back to the slideshow, please. The second thing. Oh, okay. Well, we'll check that. But again, each morning meeting, there's a little academic piece. There is a social emotional piece, and listening to the students and get them started off on the day right. And I'm very excited about giving students the ability to look at the CASEL standards and look at their ways of measuring their the self-advocacy and their regulating their emotions throughout this, so we start their day in a positive form. Thank you.
High school.
All right. So at the high school, his sample lesson about making better choices. This is technically a 2-week program. So it would be back-to-back advisories, if you will, maybe even 3 advisories, depending on how things went. But the lessons are all kind of set up this way for every advisory. First is some resources and some YouTube links if you want to venture into that realm. But as you scroll down, you'll see that it's very distinct instructions to the advisor. We're going to work on cohesive building, called the human knot. So again, very interactive. You get 6 to 8 people in a circle. This is the, grab everybody grabs a hand across the circle, try to untangle yourselves without, while being considerate of everybody else. And then you go through a kind of list of questions there. Another activity that kind of comes through this is, what would you have done given some scenarios? So it's called the ICED situation. So nice little acronym. So you start off with identifying a problem. You can create constructive alternatives. There are examples down there. So you have all these role-playing pieces that you can do, and you end up where you have these poster boards and you just kind of throw things around, throw ideas around, and you break up into these small groups and work with these small groups. These scenarios are given. Teachers can, scenarios are written out, but sometimes the teacher might have something to add or another scenario that they might want to go over. But you find that, the students actually latch on to a lot of these where they're like, you know what? Here we are. It's age appropriate for these students. It's ideal for a high school level, and the things that they're going to see, the things they're going to deal with, the things they're going to be, faced with, the challenges they'll be faced with, So these are the types of things, just one lesson that we have that would cover a couple of weeks, perhaps 3 sessions.
I think that's it, correct, Mr. Villamere? All right. And again, thank you to the principals and their teams for putting this together. They didn't do this alone. The counseling departments helped out, our adjustment counselors, our school psychologists. And it's work that we all believe in setting that tone and getting kids comfortable and acclimated to the school setting. I love going into the elementary and the primary and seeing the morning meetings and just having the kids learn. One of the skills, I've said this before, a kindergarten student isn't used to waiting turns and having to sit in a circle and go around and wait to introduce themselves or wait for their turns. So it's teaching those skills. And then you saw some of the content for the middle school and the high school. Those are such age appropriate conversations and discussions to have. And, having seen that play out in different classrooms, you walk in some classrooms and the teachers just say, hey, today we're going to talk about, and then the conversation runs rampant for half hour. And sometimes they go off script and it's great, but they're at least staying with the theme. And then sometimes you're in classrooms and they follow the script. But I'm glad that we're doing this work and we'll continue doing it. Love to have the committee ask the principals question if they have any.
Hi. So first and foremost, thank you so much for all the work that you and your staff have put into creating this. I know that there's a lot of asks on everyone right now, so I just want to throw that out there. I love what we're doing in the morning meetings. But I'm just thinking, that those times are snapshots in our students' days. And I would love to learn more about kind of how are we embedding the social emotional learning into the every, all day, and I know that getting those 20 minutes is great, but how do we embed that into the whole day, and how do we involve families in what those things are so that they understand the lingo? Like Mrs. Sosha, I know, is it a big problem or a small problem? Like social thinking is very concrete and doing that, but how can we kind of embed some of that ongoing learning to go into the homes as well?
Last year, Mrs. Purvis and Mrs. Thompson did a counselor's corner. And so that's going to be up and running as well. They actually did a survey with parents at open house to see what kind of topics did they want to talk about when they do these meetings. So that's one way that we can do that, is to try to get it out. And Mrs. Purvis has also done a parent newsletter. So we're trying to push that terminology out to parents as well. And all of the stories that are used during the day and in the classroom, or Mrs. Purvis uses, like you said, about big problems, small problem, they're using that terminology in the classroom all day long with every situation that comes up, about sharing, about being a good friend, or about whatever the story was about that week that Mrs. Purvis was in there. The teachers are there, they're hearing the same story, they're hearing the same message. So they are supporting that constantly in the day.
No, I think that's great. And I think I said about the social thinking because that was the easiest one for me too. But I think, as they get into upper elementary school and middle school and high school, how do we kind of bridge that gap? Because everybody's doing such good work. So like, how do we, and obviously nobody can answer that tonight, but like, how do we take that information? I know last year, Dr. Vieira tried to do some community trainings and different things. Like maybe we need to use our own curriculum. Maybe we need to kind of, I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Other questions? All right. Well, thank you to the principals and for the questions. Again, it's great work. We'll continue doing it and updating people on it. If there aren't any other questions, that's all I have for my report tonight. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving over to the school committee and subcommittee report, the accounts payable.
I'm getting there. Hold on. My internet's a little slow today. I only have one today. It's wonderful. Warrant SCH, or no, sorry, Courtney. Warrant 9 SCH 24 and 9 SCHL 24. 5 batches, a total warrant amount of $36,622.34. And there was no concerns.
Thanks, Beth. Moving on to the consent agenda, can I take something out of order just because the Douglas High School approval of the out-of-state band and chorus performances? You're on mute, Dr. Vera.
I don't think Mr. Ringet will mind.
All right. Yes, I'm hoping the marching band competes through parades and their performances. They performed in parades in previous years in Rhode Island for autumn festivals and St. Patrick's Day. I'm hoping to streamline their process a little bit, similarly to athletics earlier this year. Currently, the dates of their out-of-state performances are October 9th and March 9th of 2024. In order to save time and avoid possible missed opportunities for our music students, the high school is seeking a year-long permission to participate in these parades and concerts out of state for our bands and our chorus members. For a financial impact, all costs related to these events covered by this permission would be financially covered by the Music Boosters. And if the school committee is in agreement, following motion is recommended for approval. As I'd like to move to approve permission for the music program, which includes the marching band, concert band, jazz band, and chorus at the high school to participate in parades and concerts held out of state for the 2023-2024 school year.
Any questions from the school committee?
So moved.
Monique makes the motion, seconded by? Seconded by Teresa Brooks.
Before she can.
All those in favor with a roll call vote, please. State your name, please.
Beth Bergstrom, aye.
Teresa Brooks, aye.
Monique Salvis, aye.
Heather Moore and I. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Motion
everybody.
passes.
I
Have
appreciate
a
it.
wonderful day. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rob.
My daughter has my computer, so I'm doing everything on my phone, so I'm so sorry.
It's all good. We'll manage, we'll go through this. Moving back to the consent agenda, to the August 16th meeting minutes. If no one has any questions on this, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the August 22nd meeting minute notes.
It's the August 16th.
That I move to approve the August 16th, 2023 school committee meeting notes.
Motion made by Beth, seconded by?
Second by Monique.
Seconded by Monique. Roll call vote, please.
Beth Bergstrom, aye.
Teresa Brooks, aye.
Monique Salvis, aye.
Heather Moore and I. Thank you. Moving on to the September 6th, 2023 meeting minutes. If no one has any comments on that, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the September 6th, 2023 school committee meeting minutes.
Motion made by Monique, seconded by?
Teresa.
Seconded by Teresa. Roll call vote, please.
Beth Bergstrom, aye.
Teresa Brooks, aye.
Monique Salvis, aye.
Heather Moore and I. Thanks. And that's it for our consent agenda. So we're now going to move over to the school business and operations manager report.
Good evening. Boy, that went by quickly. Okay. I do have a number of items this evening. First, I have the FY 2023 general fund budget transfers number 4. This was the one that was brought before you at the last meeting. And I do apologize. I don't know where my brain was. I think I was just tired. When it was brought up about a possible conflict, I don't know why I didn't think that there are no conflicts with either the transfers or the reclassifications, because transfers are just a transfer of funds from one account to another. And just so you all know as well, just a reminder, reclasses are just a reclassification of expenditures, which means the expenditures have already been approved, paid. We're just moving them from possibly one account to another if there was an account error, or possibly to another fund, maybe to use up a grant sometimes, or various other reasons, you know, when you're closing the book. So I apologize that I didn't think of that evening. I guess my brain wasn't functioning too good. So I'm bringing that before you again this evening. So I didn't know if anybody had any other questions.
If nobody has any questions, I'd be looking for a motion to approve.
We're looking at the transfers number 4. Is that?
Yes, this is one that was brought before you at the last meeting. You know, the books are already closed out and everything. We just need to have these approved and signed off for Jean's records.
I move to approve the FY 2023 general fund budget transfers number 4, school committee meeting. From school committee meeting September 6th.
Motion made by Monique, seconded by Teresa Brooks. Roll call vote, please.
Beth Bergstrom, aye.
Teresa Brooks, aye.
Monique Salvis, aye.
Heather Moore and I. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, I have an updated FY 2023 school department funds report. So I did present this to you, I believe it was at the last meeting. So the only changes that were made were the operating budget. You'll see we do have a little bit of a balance here, $273. This is as close as we could get it. We had some issues with encumbrances that we had to adjust at the year end. So, so the differences will be the increase in encumbrances. And also there is a difference as well in the expenditures for school choice. So those are the only changes in the year-end entire school department funds report for FY 2023. So it's just an update to what was previously reported to the school committee. Does anyone have any questions?
Wait, can you just say what the title is of the document that we're referring to?
It's the FY 2023 school department funds report. So that should be in your packet right after the the transfers number 4 that we just approved. Should be the next one down. Well, in mine it is. I don't know actually for sure with yours, but that's the name of it. It's the FY 2023 school department funds report.
You have to turn it sideways. That's why your head's like my head was just a.
Yeah, there's a lot here too.
Yeah,
Yes.
there is. So basically, just in for those of you that may not be really familiar with it. So when we close the year, these are all of the funds for the entire school district. So at the top, we have the general fund, and that's made up of the operating budget and the transportation budget. Then we have all of the revolving funds, and then we have donation accounts and prior year grants that are carried forward, and then the FY 2023 grants. So for all of those funds, we have the beginning balance from the fiscal year, all of the receipts taken in, the expenditures, the encumbrances that we still have at year end, and then the balance in cash balance. Sometimes there's a difference between balance and cash balance, but those two are provided as well. And what this also indicates is this is the all of these accounts and funds have been reconciled with the town accountant. It's part of the year end closing. Does Does anyone have any other questions regarding this report?
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Okay, and again, I know I've said this before, but if you guys ever, because I know it's hard at a school committee meeting, but if you ever want to come down to my office, give me a call and ask questions or stop by, have me go over things, I'll be more than happy to do that on any of my reports or any of the budget or funds within the school district. I'll be happy to do that at any time. And also, I forgot that the last page too, this also includes the student activity funds from the middle school and the high school as well. So the next report I have for year end is again the updated FY 2023 year end general fund budget report. So this is just a general fund that's after all those transfers have been made, bringing all of the except for one, the ending balances down to zero. So we had to do all of those transfers back and forth between negatives and positives. And you'll see on the last page, we have just that $273 balance. We got it as close as we could. It was kind of a little bit of an arduous situation this year. So we did pretty good bringing it down to, as you know, we usually bring it down to zero, but we have $273 left in there. So, so that's just an updated report from what was previously presented to you. And that is just a general fund alone.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay. All right, the next one down. And again, this was updated a little bit for the school choice, but we really didn't have an opportunity too much to talk about at the last meeting. But I did provide it again. These are the two largest revolving funds, as you know, that offset our full operating budget each fiscal year. The first one is school choice revolving fund. And I like to provide this to you every year, both during the budget process, also at year end. So you'll see the actuals and then some projections for the year going forward. But I do want to draw your attention to a couple of things with regard to school choice. The school choice revolving fund is very difficult to understand. One of the key factors is that everyone needs to remember is that when we're first preparing our budget for the next fiscal year, we're doing it basically a year and a half in advance. We're trying to project out a year and a half in advance. And as everyone knows, there's a lot of things that take place on a daily basis, changes in staffing coming out or coming in, or a higher step or a lower step, unanticipated repairs that must be done in any of our 4 buildings, a number of different needs that could come up with regard to special education or other programmatic needs for our students in the district that we need to fund that we may not have known about a year and a half earlier, or up to a year and a half earlier, I should say. But some of the things that are indicative with regard to this report, and I did add, I put the COVID year on the top of FY 2021, but you'll see at the very bottom the amount that was approved in the budget each year. Then you will see quite a difference in some years more than others, particularly in FY 23. We were, I guess I will say lucky enough that we did budget to use 1.4 million, but that was brought down dramatically for a number of different reasons. Again, ESSER grants is part of that and some other things as well. A number of different changes in staffing and special education expenditures and various different things that were initially budgeted, but weren't needed by year end. But as you can see in some of the other years, for instance, in FY 2022, we budgeted roughly 1.4 million, and we did use just short of $1 million. So it just kind of points out it's extremely difficult to predict all of the things that can happen. As you see in FY 20, and that was when COVID came in at the very end of the year, in March, as we all don't want to recall, frankly, we budgeted 1.246 million, and we used just short of 1.1. So you can see that this is the variabilities. I guess the best way to put it is, this is the account that we use both in planning, starting a year in advance and ensuing through the entire year, right through June 30th, to utilize for things that are completely unpredictable and unknown. And so you can see how difficult it is to try to ascertain what that number is going to end up being. I can tell you that when we were planning the FY 2024 budget, we all know now how precarious that is. And the huge cuts to 750,000 that we had to reduce, and then the amount that was removed from our appropriation. And I did, I don't like doing this, but I crossed my fingers because we did not want to lay off any staff. We wanted to maintain stability as best we could. So I put myself out on a limb, which I don't usually do, but trying to be conservative. And I was, when we finally did close the books, I was very close, uncomfortably close as far as my projection. But, it worked out well. And as I did explain to at the last meeting, we were very, very glad to have that large credit, that $156,000 credit from electricity that needed to be processed by Jean Lovett, Finance Director, Town Accountant. Very happy with that. That enabled all of the schools to get their textbooks that they had reduced from the budget. So if it were not for that, we would not have been able to purchase those textbooks. Absolutely would not have been able to do that. So we will be, I'm going to say this again, all the principals really, and this, Greg, special ed director for special ed and student support services, everyone needs to monitor their budgets very carefully this year. And I'll be reporting out more often to school committee as well. Not only for FY24, because as you know, how we end, and as we get towards the end of the fiscal year and end of FY24, that is going to determine a lot of what we will have for FY25 as well. So we all know we're going into a difficult process with regard to planning our FY25 budget. So as you know, we'll be having more meetings. Paul and I attended a Board of Selectmen's meeting last evening. Next Tuesday, we will be attending the Finance Committee meeting. We'll be reporting to school committee regularly, just letting people know way in advance our needs for the school district and possible funding scenarios and hopefully some additional revenue from the town. As everyone knows, it's the full operating budget that makes up what runs the entire school district. It is not just a general fund. So we always have to start with preparing a full operating budget to inform all stakeholders in town. And that's not just the school committee or principals, superintendent, or taxpayers, parents, boards, committees, parents, everyone, so that everyone understands what we're going into for FY25. So that's why I wanted to present this to you and explain it a little bit more this evening. We'll be talking about it more as we go through the year, and we will be beginning our preliminary, but definitely our FY25 budget process. We will have that before the school committee. I think, Paul, did you say by the end of December at the latest, I believe. So they can have at least a broad brush. We know there's a lot that could change between December and April. We'll make the adjustments accordingly as we go along. But it's very important to start that process earlier rather than later. Does anyone have questions on school choice?
Yeah, so I'm wondering why there's no numbers in the tuition for the FY20.
You mean the breakdown? I cannot always get the breakdown for special education increment. Yeah, I could not get that. I had a very difficult time getting that last year from DESE, and also I still did not have it at this time for this report. I may be able to get it within the next few months or next month or so when more reporting is turned into the state, when all of that is finalized.
And that goes for the tuition receipts as well?
Oh, no, I'm talking about the tuition receipts. Well, I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood your question.
You said, well, both of those are not listed here. So the special education increment and the regular tuition receipts.
Right, that's the breakout, Monique. So the total amount that we brought in was $568,212, but that's correct. I did not have the amounts to break it out for what special ed increment was.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was looking at. The tuition I was thinking was what we're receiving for school choice kids.
No, that is exactly what that is. Yep. So that's for FY.
You're saying the 58,000 is what we're receiving for school choice.
568,200.
Sorry, that's what I mean.
Yes, that's correct. And that includes a combination of the regular tuition, which is generally $5,000 per student, and also a component of special education increment. And that can vary, that varies widely. It's not a number that I absolutely have to have, be able to obtain that number. That's why I left it blank until I can get that. But when I do, I'll be happy to let you know. Yeah, I never used to have that, but I decided it was good information to have, so I started breaking it out about 3 years ago. And so I went back and did the history for all those prior years. It's only the last couple of years I've been breaking that out on this particular report. I think it's good to know that. You definitely want to know what your regular tuition receipts are compared to that, because special education increment can change a great deal, either up or down. So
Courtney, can I just ask a couple of questions? When you say special education increment, are you talking about circuit breaker? Or are you talking about something different?
no, I'm talking about something different. So this is, in other words, if we have a student who is enrolled in Douglas that requires special education services, we do receive from the state what they call a special education increment, a dollar amount.
So not because they're school choice, any child that lives.
Oh, no, only school choice.
Okay,
Only
so they're kind of a similar, not that they're the same thing.
Oh yeah, this is only school choice revenue. Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
And then my only other question, just for people that are listening or watching, we kind of do some different terminology. We say, a real needs budget. We say an operating budget. And I know that we have a budget that we're working on to hold what we have. But when you're saying, I guess I'm just trying for people that are watching to understand the budget that we have is so that we continue to keep the staff we have, keep everything as it is. But that's not what we're looking for a budget.
That is an excellent question and excellent point, Beth. Thank you. Absolutely. If we were to prepare, and actually we do, because I believe that we all know it's very important to put out what our needs are. And we do start with that budget, what we truly feel our needs are to adequately support our educational programs for all of our students. But as you know, we started off with that. But again, we had to remove 750,000, of those needs. Okay. And then we had to remove more, but also utilize more of our school choice just to hang on to what we have. And that is an excellent point. And that's why we're having these conversations with the public, with the Board of Selectmen, with the Finance Committee, because we really feel like we're at a crucial point, and it's starting to remind me a little bit about where we were a few years back. And we definitely don't want to go there. And if you'll recall, and we appreciate the override that we did get that was implemented in 2019 for our budget. We truly appreciate that. But I think everyone knew that it didn't bring us up to where we really needed to be. It was kind of a stopgap measure. And if you'll recall, even members of the Board of Selectmen, and I'm not sure about Finance Committee as well, did state at that time that they didn't expect that to last more than 5 years. And so that's about now. That's really where we are now. And I think that's kind of a systematic problem for all town departments, frankly. And, so we're looking forward to a positive, collaborative working relationship with the town committees and boards to all work on this issue together to try to come up with some funding that will provide us some room, some flexibility to move our programs forward and obtain more of those needs that we need for all of our students to be successful. Someone a few years back once said to me, a child is only in first grade once, or it could be sixth grade or ninth grade or 12th grade. It's a one-shot deal. So we try to do the best we can. And frankly, I think we do very well with money that we do have. But funding has become an issue, and so we are hoping to make some strides in that area. Does anyone else have any other questions with this report? So the next one that I have is the Special Education Circuit Breaker Fund. Not much really different there than what was reported in the past, because this is different from School choice is a fund that the school committee and school department can use without further appropriation. Circuit breaker can only be used for certain special education expenditures, and a certain amount must be spent in each year's budget as well. So it's kind of it's based on a formula. It's very strict in the use of it, but obviously it is a large amount that we use to offset our budget. So I like this reporting as well for this particular fund. So you can see the actuals from prior years. You can see the trend history, which is very important, the actuals from the year that just closed out and has been reconciled, and also the projection for the year going forward, and with the expected fund balances, because that'll give you an idea of where we're going in for FY25. Again, just projections well in advance. But you can see how the fund balance has been decreasing since FY22 here. But again, that's based on the students that we have and the services that they have. So does anyone have any questions on that report? Okay, the next one down that I always prepare for you as well is the preschool program. That is a revolving fund as well. I think it's important because of it's a large program within our school district. So I like to have a history trend on this as well. As you can see, this is running very well. The FY23 actuals ended with a fund balance of almost exactly the same of what I project to be at the end of FY24, as far as what we have budgeted in our FY24 budget. So that program is going strong. As you know, we did expand it a few years back. I don't know if Cindy has any additional comments to make on the program or finances or anything of that nature.
No, actually, the program's going well, and we probably have maxed out right now of what we can take for students. So we've got 63, and some people are changing a little bit. There's a little fluctuation where I have students that are coming, say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full day, that are asking, can they come now Tuesday, Thursday as well? So some of those we can accommodate and some we can't. So there's a little bit of play in there. But right now we're full up and doing great.
And that's great news for the students. So does anyone have any questions with regard to this? Oh, so just to let you know, for those that might not be familiar, the top part is a revolving fund. And actually down below, I do actually provide information on other funding as well for the program. Because the preschool program is funded largely from the revolving fund. There's also the 262 grant, which funded around $10,000. And then we also have, and it does vary widely, the general fund funding as well each year. Any questions on the preschool program? Okay, moving on to school lunch. This one is looking far better than it has in the past. And we all know why. The last couple of years, we've had a free lunch. So it has allowed us to go, as you can see, the trend history. There were a number of years where our revenue did not even meet expenditures. So we were digging into fund balance and really struggling with that program. We were not allowed to, for years, to replace any equipment or even small wares, to be honest with you. So it was really a struggle to maintain the program. It's doing very well. As you know, they've replaced a lot of large equipment. We have the entire serving line. As you can see there at the bottom, $50,000 project. It's supposed to be done in July, but you know how everything's being delayed these days. We do look forward to that being done the next few months. So we will be utilizing this fund to take care of any other additional needs that any of the buildings have, in addition to looking at any further equipment needs. And even more importantly, we are able to, for the first time in the entire time I've been here, we're able to utilize the revolving fund to take care of repairs that happen in the kitchen area, where we always had to use a general fund. So that is helping us with regard to that as well, because we can only use the funding for things that have to do with the school lunch program in the kitchen area. But we did have a repair that came up. I just signed the purchase order yesterday. And so that's good too, because that'll free up a little bit for our general fund, particularly going into FY25. So that program is going very, very strong. Any questions with regard to the school lunch program? Well, that's all I have for this evening. Unless anyone else has any other questions pertaining to budget or finance or anything.
Thank you, Courtney.
Well, you're very welcome. And again, anybody ever has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Either give me a call or stop by my office anytime. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Courtney. Are there any topics not anticipated?
None at this time.
The only thing that I would add for the public is we do have a vacancy on the school committee. We are actually taking applications through the town clerk. You can apply there. And then we will be having a joint session with the Board of Selectmen. Is it October 4th, 3rd?
It is
October 3rd?
October 3rd.
Okay.
October 3rd, interested applicants, if they get their information in with the town clerk, they would come to the October 3rd joint session with the Board of Selectmen and the school committee. And then we would take a vote to welcome our new school committee member on. So I would encourage anybody who's interested to please reach out to Ms. Kristen Furno, who is the town clerk. She can assist you with that. Any other topics not anticipated?
Not tonight.
Then if not, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the September 20th, 2023 school committee meeting at 8:31 p.m.
Motion made by Beth, seconded by
Monique.
Monique. Roll call vote, please.
Beth Bergstrom, aye.
Monique Salvazai.
Heather Moore and I. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
You have a great
Thank
night,
you.
everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.